Welcome back to Bros in a Landfill!
Welcome to the start of the episode.
Yep.
So how's everybody's day been?
I wish I could be playing SCC right now.
SCC, what's that?
Tell us about this SCC event, Tar, for the first time.
It's a Super Monkey Ball event. The Super Monkey Ball Elite hosts this event every once in a while. You're given 3 brand spanking new levels nobody has ever seen before. And you compete for the best time, best score, and you cannot discuss your strategies with anyone.
Oh, that's exciting. Nice. This is like the anime championship tournament arc of your life.
Is this why you've been playing Monkey Ball all day?
Yes. I've played a lot of Monkey today, so I might not be on top of my game.
Well, we gotta hurry up this episode, get you finished this, and so we can get back to the SEC.
We're dealing with, like, Tar's dregs today. His monkey dregs.
Well, that only means one thing, Lunch.
What's that?
Podcast episode.
Oh shit, that means we can talk about whatever we want.
Yo, Lunch, you know what came out this week, right?
Oh boy, are we about to enter into an 8-hour-long discussion on the ethics of astrology again? No, you're talking about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I'm talking about my own. So, I know it's only
I forgot to turn the input display on.
Good times.
There we go.
So, I know you said that you played the beta on a friend's PS5. Have you had any chance to play? Because I know it was only released for the premium edition. Did you get any chance to play the proper release yet?
Yes. Well, my friend, who I played the beta from, lives in my house.
Well, yeah,
and he pre-ordered the ultimate.
The ultimate.
Well, not ultimate, the premium one.
The Jean-Claude Van Damme version, yes.
Yes, the one that comes with like mariachi Sub-Zero.
I still think he should be called Jean-Claude Van Damme for a kid-friendly audience.
You're right. It's Monkey Ball. We're supposed to be on YouTube Kids.
Right. Sorry. Oh my god, it would be really funny if our show was mocked for YouTube Kids.
Yeah. That'd be the worst possible timeline.
God.
Speaking of timelines.
Right, so I've played. I have played the new game. We binged not the whole story, but a lot of it in like a day.
Damn.
So I have absorbed a lot of Mortal Kombat, and then the next day I went to Sailor's house and we jammed multiplayer for ages. So like, I close my eyes and I see blood.
I believe it. Yep. I'm only. I've been inching through it after work with Helen. We're at the start of chapter 4, so which is Kenshi's chapter.
Cool.
I close my eyes and I see Castle Moat.
I believe it. You close your eyes and you hear the unending screams of monkeys falling through the doom.
Yes.
That's what Tar wakes up into the middle of the night when he's.
You guys don't understand that, like, when you stop the video and you go on with the rest of your day, like, it's Monkey Ball's gone. But when we stop recording, all these sounds are still in Tar's head. And when he goes to sleep at night, he's hearing the same song. And
if the night's especially bad, he'll start hearing our voices talking about forbidden topics like Kingdom Hearts or New Zealand fruit.
When that one's actually not bad.
Yeah,
that's pretty. Every now and again, like, Tar's just like sleeping and like he'll just randomly say, "Ready."
No go. Just ready.
Yeah.
So speaking about nightmares,
the squirrel that's like watching through the window was like, "What the fuck is he on?"
So speaking about nightmares, I can say so far the nightmare that was the previous trilogy of Mortal Kombat games and the direction they went. I feel
that
like
was the dumbest segue you could possibly have imagined, Trybien.
Just
that is literally my purpose on the show, is to make dumb segues to talk about the specific topics that I want about, so I can wrangle hold of this YouTube channel that I am somehow somewhat in control of.
Yeah, you guys at home don't know, but like, we actually record these in the same room, and Trybien just has a gun pointed at the two of us every single session.
They're water guns filled with apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to fuck around.
Oddly specific.
Look, it's good for your skin and your hair.
Is it?
It might just sting if it gets in your eyes.
Right, I mean, this is feeling like not that good of a threat anymore. Like, my hair is actually giving me some trouble lately. Like, you should just go for it.
Yeah, okay. Ah, my eyes! My fucking eyes! So, yeah, I'd say, like, so far, like, I don't think story-wise, I don't think I have any complaints. I think the dialogue has definitely been better than the last 2 games. Pacing, it's a Mortal Kombat game. I think the reboot was the right direction to go for this. Don't think I particularly care for many of the models, though.
You don't like the models?
So it's just, I was explaining this to Helen before. Everybody looks so fucking pretty that's just kind of jarring after being like in 10 and 11, which was just so grungy.
This is the new era, and
yeah, no,
everyone is fucking on the cover of a magazine.
It totally, I mean, it totally works for what it's going for. I do think that, like, some of the Outworld, like, I think to one degree the Outworld designs are a bit all over the place, especially like going from like Mortal Kombat 11, where like Katana was super Chinese coded, and now like in Mortal Kombat 11, like Katana has like this like very Chinese, very like small like pouty face, and then you come to 1, and now she has gigantic lips, and it's like the most like she looks like she's like one of those she looks like she's like a TikTok or Instagram model.
Oh yeah, no, I actually like, I kind of agree with you in that I think Kitana in 11 is like the peak model and character design for her, and that like her sort of refresh, I mean, she's beautiful, but like it's a bit less interesting to me.
Some of the history behind like in the history with the character designs have always like do kind of like jar me with Mortal Kombat. So like a character like Katana, like, so and some of Outworld's like weird level of I don't want to say diversity and ethnicity. That's not like the right conversation. Like, and it has more to do with like Mortal Kombat's like development cycle and weird lore. Like Mortal Kombat, like, so it's like Outworld is like this like super weird mixture of like Asian, Middle Eastern,
new PB though,
like African,
Nice.
and sometimes like the character just like makes sense like as they are, but then you have like characters like it's so weird to like really like nail down. Like there's when I look at Outworld, I see like a lot of Middle Eastern influence, and part of me expects to see like a lot of like Middle Eastern sort of designs, and then you have like these like very like Chinese looking characters, or
It's very much a cultural mishmash for sure.
yeah, and I know I'm probably overthinking it. It's supposed to be like this like otherworldly sort of like realm. Like,
I mean, I guess I'll just say as like, I mean, on our planet, there's lots of different kinds of people like sort of mixing in one place as well.
Yeah, I know. And I think to some degree, like I can give it a bit more pass so far in Mortal Kombat 1, and the idea that maybe like within all the piece, everything in like everything in Outworld might be a bit more united and mixed. But to the same degree, it's like you got like, it's so weird to think, oh, we have like these Earthrealm coded races in there next to all of these other like mythical races. If that makes.
The Mortal Kombat lore is just
It's so weird. But
and like you know, Kitana is like 10,000 years old, but like she just looks like a human. So it's like, what?
I'm gonna be real. You guys have been saying Kitana the entire time, and I've just been thinking of Melina.
Yeah, I mean, Melina's Katana's clone, except in Mortal Kombat 1, she's her older sister or something. That's beside the point.
Mortal Kombat is a franchise where like you're allowed to you have a pass on getting like the character wrong based on the name. It's like,
but like,
oh, you idiot! You thought we were talking about the purple one. We're talking about the blue one.
Yeah, but
Katana's moron.
Like Katana's an interesting character because like her history is like she was originally designed as I think Shang Tsung's daughter named Kitsune, and then they changed the name to Katana, which. Both are very like Japanese story-oriented names, but then the character itself was a bit more white-coded up through 9. I think even like 10's a little bit like, well, 10 she's just Revenant form, so it's there's these weird as fucking Revenant form, especially with her costuming. And then 9, it's like 11, it's like kind of like a complete redesign within the same universe. So she goes from like this very like white coded character to a very Chinese coded character within the same universe, which is kind of jarring. But NetherRealm is super inconsistent with their character designs, and whatnot. So
I do like that over time the cast feels more and more like majority Asian. It kind of feels right for like this, like it when
feels
it comes
right,
to like, because in this game, like especially in this new game, like they've de-emphasized like both the sort of demons and like U.S. military kind of angles. So like it's mostly left as like this awesome sort of kung fu story. So it feels correct that a lot of the characters.
Well, I think part of that, I feel like part of that though has more to do with 9 onwards, kind of being more like a kung fu action movie, as like through their story modes. I mean, and granted, that's kind of like what the initial conceit of the series was. Like the first game is very like kung fu action, and then like it completely like trailed off into like this like world giant stakes world-ending war conflicts. But it's always had like that kung fu action sort of background.
Yeah, but like I mean, like I don't think we have any of the cyborgs as playable anymore, right? Like
I mean, outside of cameos. I don't mind it so much in 1 as well, especially being given that like we're in a universe that like Liu Kang shaped, so a lot of everything that's inside the universe is going to be through his lens. So I think there's a lot of like cool details, like in everything we've at least everything I've seen so far, that it feels like something that Liu Kang would have crafted. You know, like it doesn't just like feel like, oh, it's just random more peaceful thing. It's like it seems like a good reflection of what like Liu Kang envisions a perfect sort of world.
I don't want to like I don't want to get too deep into things because I know more than you, but this is something that was on the website, like in the character bios.
Yeah.
And like in this timeline, General Shao, previously Shao Kahn, had like kind of a shitty childhood. Like he was like he had like an affliction like as a kid, and then like with the idea being like, okay, well, seems like Liu Kang probably tried to change fate by like giving Shao like a miserable life so that he wouldn't grow up into like an epic king, but instead like he just became more like it's more like a what doesn't kill you makes you stronger kind of thing. Like, he became like as powerful as he would have anyway, like through spite and determination. So it's quite cool because it's like everything's nice and pretty now, but there's also this element of like I'm gonna try and destroy evil by like ruining their lives before they can.
Yeah, I mean that
makes them evil, you know? Like he's recreated like it. He should have given them happy lives.
I mean that's like one of the things like I think was like really cool with the setup. Like I'm not sure how I feel about Cetrion being, assuming that I'm pretty sure that's still Cetrion given everything else we got going on. But like having like Cetrion still there has me a bit mad. But that opening with Shang Tsung was still pretty. Like seeing how like what Liu Kang has, the destiny that Liu Kang shaped for him in that world.
And it's like no wonder he's gonna like be a fucking asshole because
it's like
doesn't have anything good going on.
Yeah. And it's like and it's interesting to think of like, oh, like Liu Kang's approach to making sure that there weren't like bad people changing the world in bad ways was to make sure that they weren't in situations where they could enact that badness. Like to basically strip them of their power, but to be able to strip them of that power has made their lives miserable, which is only gonna, if anything, shift and be more miserable. Where does he think
evil comes from? But I guess that's kind of a question of the story, right? It's like nature versus nurture. He kind of believes that they just are bad apples and like they just have to be neutralized no matter what.
The thing, there's a few things I am curious about. So, well, like so when you boot up the game, it goes into this cutscene that plays every single time you boot up the game, where like Liu Kang's talking about how he crafted the world, spent eons like making everything perfect, and then he left it to people's hands. And then in the story, it's like, oh, like he gave up the time, like he gave up the power of the time to Garrus just so he can be a protector and not have his.
He still wants to kind of be a person.
Yeah. And granted, like I think, like that did a little bit of good retcon to make 11 seem a bit better in retrospect, because one of the biggest complaints about 11 was that Cetrion's plans make absolutely zero sense, and
So
every
you're
action
saying,
she makes.
You're saying Cetrion. I think you mean Chronica.
Chronica, yeah. I'm sorry, I keep saying Cetrion. Cetrion's her daughter, which is the Chronica is is just out of her mind. None of her decisions make sense, and she spells her own disaster.
Yeah.
But like in the context of like, and one in some ways like sidesteps that by saying that she went mad trying to make the timelines perfect. That doesn't excuse it doesn't excuse a lot.
I really enjoy this explaining a character's poor writing by like, that bitch was crazy.
Yeah.
We don't know what she was on. She was alive for a billion years, so
She was alive for like eons times infinity, recreating and seeing her plans fail every time, kind of slowly going mad. And to have like Liu Kang be like, yeah, wow, yeah, I don't want to be that. Let me just like be a god and be like chill and like have fun with my homies and just like, protect the world.
So I guess that's why he lost the white hair.
Actually, no. So here's the other thing. So here's something else that like I think is a small detail. Like I don't know how I completely feel about Raiden's inclusion in the story as it is, because in some ways it's just kind of like.
I love Raiden in this game. Oh my god.
I like Raiden as a character in this game. Like I really
so lovable.
Yeah. But the way that they get his powers back, and I guess it makes sense in terms of like Liu Kang crafting a destiny for him. But it seems like what they did was Liu Kang has this amulet. He's like, oh, the Elder Gods forged this to have like lightning powers, and this is something that you could use. I think the subtext they have there is that they took out Liu Kang's lightning powers, not the god part, but just like the lightning powers out of him.
Right, because he
that.
kind of had double powers in 11, right?
Yeah, and I think that's
now
that's
the
their
fire god.
That's their explanation for letting Raiden still exist with lightning powers in the game, and while also balancing Liu Kang to not have fire and lightning. And being basically.
He took out all his lightning and he put it into like one of those like body butter like containers.
Yeah.
One of those like circular like cases, and he's like, rub this over yourself.
But I also think that's a nice bit of like character writing and details for a character like Liu Kang, because it really shows that like he's someone that like believes that there's like an order to things, and things are the way they are for a reason.
And also he wishes to stay grounded to some degree, which I think is a character beat.
Well, and part of that is like he saw he saw his master Raiden fall to madness. So like
he
I
saw
think
himself fall to madness with his revenant self.
Yeah, so he saw that. I mean, he saw both pretty much. So like I think those were both probably like very like informative experiences for him when he was shaping this new timeline.
He's a pretty interesting character when you really want to dig at it, because like, you know, it's easy just to think, okay, he's just like kind of a sort of heroic guy, but like he has his flaws and his blind spots, and also like we've seen that like under the right circumstances he can be lost to evil or resentment or whatever. So I don't know. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. I definitely think the character writing overall has been
okay. Yeah, we'll wait a cycle.
Has been better this game.
It's genuinely pretty good across. I think I like everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hello. Thank you for your input, Mr. Carr.
Yeah, I don't want to get I don't want to get too much in pedantics.
I could be playing SEC right now.
I know. Sucks to be you. You're gonna beat the stage right now. I feel like there's some.
You lied. Why did you lie, Trybien?
Yeah, I feel like to some degree I feel weird kind of
He's
like being
not answering me.
Yeah. No, I feel like to some degree I kind of want to be nitpicky and pedantic about some like character design or lore world change things, but then at that point I feel like it's also the next level pedantic thing is like, well, they've shaped at like how much like they kind of like created a situation where they can sidestep any like complaints to, well, that's just what Raiden would. Well, that's just what Liu Kang decided or what he wanted to do.
Well, I kind of think it's implied that he only has so much control over things, especially since he mostly just created the setup. So like,
yeah, I know.
There's a lot of things that are probably unintentional on his part because like it's his first time creating time and space.
No, there's just I think it's just more like there's this weird double implication of like he says like, oh, he's left everything to the people to choose between good or evil or whatever. And at the same time, there's lines with Garrus where he's like, I've shaped these destinies for these people. It's like, well, if you've shaped destinies for people, like, what does that necessarily imply in terms of like letting them choose between good or evil? It's like you've given the good people all the power, and all the bad people, you've removed the power. Like, it's
yeah. I mean, I guess he just has a little bit to learn about recreating time and space, and I think, like, I don't see the possible contradictions as like plot contradictions. I kind of see him as more as like a character who is maybe a bit torn between ideas.
Yeah,
because like he's has to reconcile, like, you know, his, I don't know, his god mind, his human mind and stuff.
Yeah, I don't mean that these things that come off as like criticisms. I think these are more just ideas that are gonna be like observations. Time will tell as like this new reboot era continues on, where we can like retroactively look and see what was a good decision, what was not a good decision, what was
I think it's really interesting to chew on at the very least.
Yeah.
Whether or not the story fully capitalizes on it, I'm not sure yet.
Well, it's because like Mortal Kombat's one of the few franchises that really take advantage of the reboot sequel. It happened in 9, where Raiden, like they effectively rebooted the series, but from the perspective that Raiden saw the future and was trying to avoid a bad future.
What?
And that kind of...
I think I just got collision grid issued.
Damn, that's sad.
What the fuck, man?
I think
on the final stage,
I think 9 overall was probably was a good story.
Oh,
and that worked for it. But I think it left.
I got excited. Why do I ever get excited about things?
I think it left for some weird implications for the later games, especially as they want to do the Kombat Kids, which I think.
Sorry, that was a fucked up statement to make.
Yeah, God damn it, Tar. Stop making fucked up statements. That's my job.
To hope is to be human.
Yeah.
To risk the suffering of disappointment is what we must brave in order to achieve happiness.
Yeah.
Even if
I
it's a
almost
fleeting
saved
moment.
that.
Fuck! Yeah. I'd say what 1 has over 9 in terms of reboot, though, is 9 was very limited in what it could do with itself as a reboot, given that it still had the same universe to work off of. Like, it still had like the same rules of character. So like something like 11 coming in and Sindel retconning being evil.
That has implications on like not just this story, but like several others beforehand.
Yeah, because the reboot only
because that was a timeline rewind rather than like an actual reboot.
Yeah, where this, it feels like there's a lot more room where they could play around. Where I'm a bit concerned, like I think my main concerns about this reboot, especially now that like they've had a Titan level character show up with and they've introduced basically world rewriting. Like they've really made time. They've really made like time travel and timelines a really relevant part of the lore and the plot.
Yeah.
Like typically with these franchises, they consistently kind of want to like keep getting bigger and bigger. And like you can't, like, once you hit that point of like time can be altered, you enter in a state where and this is something that like MCU has been dealing with once, like especially with the multiverse stuff. It's really easy for things to stop feeling like they matter.
You want to know what the first thing I thought of was when one of my buddies has been playing through Sonic 06 recently.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Time travel stories can work because I think 9 does a really good job of actually making a time travel story that really works, because the limits, it's not the amount of information that's sent is very sparse and limited, and there's consequences, and every death that happens feels like it's a matter and a consequence, such as, and it doesn't feel like it's so easy to fix. Something like a MacGuffin, like the Chronica's time
special hat, yeah.
Special time hat and the hourglass. is that it feels like it no longer becomes a matter of, okay, it matters who lives or dies. It's just all that matters is who has power over the hourglass.
Yeah, that's true, because then they could just fucking... Yeah, like nothing that really happened in Aftermath mattered, but like real.
Actually, the worst part about Aftermath is it made nothing that happened in 11 really matter except the fact that Liu Kang became a god. That's about it. Like everything, like, cause like it pretty much rewrote the whole back half of the 11.
Yeah, that's true.
And the real concern about like those like types of timey MacGuffin things is that once you're like aware of them, even good things in the story that happen kind of feel meaningless. So it's like, oh, we're supposed to be happy in 10 and 11. Well, at the end of 10 and during 11 that Johnny and Sonya are like are happy and back together.
What?
Oh no! Hey, progress.
Kinda.
Like we're supposed to be like happy for Johnny that they're back together, they're in a good relationship, and then feel like the tragedy of like Sonya dying at the start of 11.
Yeah.
If something like that were to happen like in a Mortal Kombat game now, it's like, well, should I feel happy that they're together? Does that really matter? Is there just gonna be a new timeline where like, actually I think, you know what, here's a really good example of like what I sort of like mean. So have you done any of the invasions mode yet?
No.
Okay, so the invasion.
Yo, invasion?
Yeah, invasion?
Super Monkey Ball invasion?
Yeah. So the gimmick of invasions is that like it's running on a seasonal cycle of there's like a boss that appears from another timeline. So in this one, it's Scorpion from another timeline has come and is wreaking havoc. And his gimmick is that like, all like he's searching for he's essentially doing the, I'm the character that had a level 1 die and I'm going to different timelines to find the one where they're alive.
Okay.
And Liu Kang's timeline is the one timeline where his wife is alive, but she's married to Kuai Lang, not Hanzo Hasashi, and he's furious, so he wants to burn down the timeline.
Wow. What
but
day?
like, yeah.
Wait, but what do we?
So, but
what did we come to this for?
So I'm coming to this because it's one, like when multiverse stories kind of happen and they're so convenient and the stories bring like multiverses are convenient, the stories bring attention to them and time can be like rewritten and refixed like sort of like in any way. Like it creates a situation where the story kind of no longer becomes about the character, it becomes about the multiverse. Like the scope can become so broad that how am I supposed to care about Hanzo Hasashi and his dead family when theoretically the writers can just create a universe for him where he can be happy? Like that's like the metification of narrative is a very
It's
dicey.
interesting. I feel like there's a few things that you've dinged in my head while you've been talking. You've just reminded me of other fictions. So one obvious one would be Rick and Morty, where granted I haven't seen it in a long time.
I haven't watched any of it, but I know it's kind of
Okay.
fucky.
Well, like it feels like this is gonna be not that great of a comparison then, but like it feels like kind of a theme of that show is like, wow, like you can do anything, you can go anywhere, there's all this stuff in the universe, but it's like, so then why does any of it matter? Like the main character has such a fucking depressive nihilism about the infinite universe that like, I don't know, like the fact that like stakes don't really matter kind of plays into like the depression of the main character, which I think is interesting. Another thing that you made me think about, which is probably getting a bit into spoiler territory, so I won't be specific, even though you guys know what I'm talking about. But that whole thing about like, you know, I really cared about Sonya dying, but what does it matter if it's, you know, gonna get undone or there's something else or it's invalidated by something later? That really felt like a very Danganronpa V3 ending ask question, where it's like, you know, you kind of highlight how meaningless all this stuff is when you can run it back or it never existed to begin with, or it's being deleted from time or whatever. Like, did the story still matter? Like even if it,
I'm glad you brought it up because it's actually a thought that like I've been thinking about more ever since watching Spider-Verse, especially the more recent Spider-Verse, like the sequel. Because I don't think I think the problem with multiverses isn't that those stories don't matter and we don't actually care. I think we do care about the characters as we're watching, and I think V3 is actually a very good manifesto about the fact that we do care about those characters, going through them even if things don't matter. And granted, Danganronpa 1 and 2 were kind of about that anyways. V3 is just a lot more meta about it in certain aspects.
It pisses me off how much more I like V3 in retrospect than when I was playing it.
That's V3 syndrome. But I think the matter of fact is like, it's not that the world can be reset, so why do we care about those characters? I think it's actually the implication. So think of it this way: if the world was reset, all these characters we care about are just gone, and they're replaced with new characters. Like their stories are over. Like I think a lot of that idea of like, there's another multiverse that can happen, or the time can be reset, this or that. I think we as humans are so intuitively connected to our sense of self and our sense of reality and our sense of like identity and personhood.
Oh no.
Whoa! Oh my god.
Oh,
dude, that was.
I didn't get to do the skip. I didn't get to do the long way around.
That I think, to a lot of extent, these types of multiverse stories where like that notion is challenged can just very easily make our brains and our empathy centers turn off as a self-preservation mechanism, because we don't want to think about like the possibility of like our own lives ceasing to exist and being replaced by another. Because would that really be us, for example?
Yeah, no, I think that could be a part of it. But I think also we just like enjoy serialized stories and continuity, and like, and in general in life, we like to work towards goals. We like everything to be part of the grand narrative. Like, I guess it kind of just feels like it can feel like your investment in whatever that thing was is like thrown in the trash.
But
and that's a bummer.
But from a human perspective, it's like I think that tie to narrative is partially like and connected to like our own self wanting to work towards something. Like when a story ends up feeling meaningless, like I think it kind of taps into that idea of like the time that we spent towards that, or the times we spent working towards something ending up feeling meaningless.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think those are very real.
And I know it's like this isn't something that like particularly happens with stories that don't go into that full sort of meta. Like, if stories manage to stay meaningful within their context, I think that's fine. I think a lot of like multiverse or time travel stories can easily devolve into meaningless, and as it sounds like Rick and Morty specifically is a show that like delves into that.
Does
theme.
this on purpose?
Yeah, it does it on purpose and explores that idea.
I think it does it artistically or thematically. Well, like, I think for a lot of multiverse stuff, it's beginning to feel like also just like, I mean, this is kind of more of a side tangent, but like it's beginning to feel more like a very corporate way to like never have to commit to any stakes in your storytelling. Because, like, and to be able to sell all the toys, you know.
Always have like new versions of new.
Hey, like now we have Pirate Sonic, and we have well, Sonic doesn't have the alternate universes, but you know what I mean.
I think it's just like, I think Spider-Verse does a good job of kind of like at least making characters within the multiverse people we care about.
Well, also like I feel like I don't know, those movies feel like they're about more than just like, what if Greg met John? You know, what if Greg 2 met Greg 1? It's like all these different characters are ultimately characters that are here to, you know, tell the sort of coming of age story, and like this guy finding himself.
Well, I feel like in some ways it deconstructs and reconstructs the idea of a multiverse movie about like a multiverse story in a way that like works as a good narrative.
Oh man.
But
it's funny thinking about it, like Across the Spider-Verse is another one that's a story that's getting quite meta about like the nature of multiverses and like our relationship to them as an audience. Honestly, like I feel like I can't say too much about the themes of these movies just because like it feels like we really need the final installment.
Yeah, well, I feel like the themes of the first movie are pretty set in stone. It's because like the second movie is a two-parter. And
the first one is pretty self-contained, but the second one is got a lot more left.
Yeah. But what I would say with Mortal Kombat, like, I think my biggest gripe I won't say gripe, I'll say my biggest pain point with the story as now is I don't feel like I care about the characters or the world. I feel like I'm at a point where I'm just rooting that Liu Kang makes his ideal world. If that makes any sense. Like, I think there's a lot of great people, but I feel like I think there's a lot of great characters. I love the dialogue. I want the best for them. But I've begun engaging with the story from the standpoint of, man, I just want Liu Kang to fucking just like win. Like, he's a good guy. He's put the effort in. Like, it's like
That's interesting.
Early cycle.
Yeah, I mean that's a completely valid way to view the story and to enjoy it. I think I'm just enjoying it as like a very like just kind of like a fun action story, you know, like I think they're doing a great job of just making it really likable. Like I don't want to get too much into it, but I'm loving that there's a lot of comedy, a lot of awesome choreography.
Oh no, like the entire
it's just a really cool production.
Oh yeah, no, like I'm actually like I know I'm coming off as critical and stuff. Like, I'm genuinely enjoying it. I'm overthinking Mortal Kombat story for what it is. Like,
oh well, I mean, you've been playing through all the Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, like
so
the audience doesn't know. Like,
I was. It needs to go somewhere, you know.
Yeah. And I think I think a lot of these thoughts do come more.
I disagree.
Damn. Fuck. I'm at a loss.
I was talking to the game, not you.
Yeah, I would say these are definitely more thoughts that come from someone who's binged it and who's seen the comparison of each game. Like I would say so far, like, and this is about like I'm not even like at the climax. I'm just like I'm at the point where the plot is starting to get rolling. But even just like as a first act, like I feel like the game's has already done a lot better at storytelling than the previous games. 9 has a problem of just throwing a bunch of characters, and as a reboot game, it's fine. I think it's a fine introductory in the sense of like, oh, look at all these cool characters, you can play them in the story mode. There's this intriguing plot going on, but there's a lot that happens. It probably needed a lot.
Ooh, okay.
It definitely needed.
Nice.
9 definitely needed more time to breathe in its story mode than it was given. I think 10 is a lot tighter of a story mode.
Nope. Okay.
But
I should not have tried to fuck with that.
10 is a lot more fun of a story. I think 10's a tighter written story mode, but it lacks a lot of that like charm and kung fu. Like it's really mostly just kind of like a special ops war sort of movie.
Yeah.
I think a well written one. I think it's probably the best written of those 3 in terms of competently like from point A to point B, but misses a lot of that like fun.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I think 11's just a hokey mess.
I can't believe I saved that.
Nice.
Yeah. I think 11's a hokey mess, but like it's got a lot of fun and goofy moments that you can't fully hate.
Yeah, I mean, I remember enjoying it, but it's been years, so I'm not gonna fight you on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm really enjoying the new one. Can I tell you one thing that, like, in terms of like, you know, viewing the story under different lenses? Before the. Like the night before the game came out. Oh god,
nope,
it's too slippery.
Nope.
No, that's way too slippery. Yeah.
The night before the game came out, me and my friend Brody, we wrote down a bunch of predictions for like, you know, stuff we think will happen in the story and in the game, and like we're like tracking points based on who's getting more things right. And like one thing that I predicted is that because he was like, do you think that there will be any drug use whatsoever shown on screen? Tobacco or cigarettes count. Alcohol doesn't, but like cigarettes count. Or like a non-specific guy smoking a pipe counts. And so I went for yes on that. So like in that first scene, in one of those early scenes where like, you know, the grandma, Madame Bo, like kind of gets up off the floor and pulls out a cigarette. I was just like, yes! Like, I was like, it was the hypest fucking, like, it was already a great scene, and then that was the hypest bit, and he was just like, no! I don't know.
Oh, I could be playing SEC right now.
All right. How long is one episode of our show?
We're about 40 minutes. We'll just wrap up final thoughts.
Sure.
So, overall, I am excited to see where the story goes. I know I harp on multiverse stories, but because I'm so meta brand, I actually do like multiverse and time travel stories because there's so much to think about and unpack that like my brain enjoys it even if it's not the most satisfying storytelling. I wanted to go a bit into the gameplay since we've had a bit more time to actually go into the game, like the play. So far, I feel like out of like going from each Mortal Kombat game, I do feel like feels the best to play out of all of them. And I don't know if it's just because like with the PS5.
Wait, this is final thoughts?
Yes, I'm just wrapping. I'm just knocking things out.
Knocking out. Okay.
Okay. I think the gameplay feels the best. Like it's better than it's ever felt, especially after 11. I'm not a big combo heavy player. I like my in and out, do a lot of damage.
Lame.
I don't have the patience and the memory to remember combo strings, okay? I like to get in and get out, do my damage. Fatality is better than ever before. Brutality is better than ever before. Just quick, snappy, funny. I like that the cameos have fatalities and brutalities. Just a little bit extra bit of flavor. I'm still not sold on the cameo system, but at least having Frost on and being able to go and just freeze people with people that you shouldn't be freezing with characters like Johnny Cage, sort of enjoyable. Tutorial mode, very good. I liked being able to go through, learn all the mechanics and stuff. Combo challenges suck ass, but like that's like majority of games, fighting games.
Well, you don't like combos, so I mean.
I don't mind pulling off. I don't mind like just shitting around and pulling off long strings and stuff. I don't want to sit down and learn, but I don't know if I talked about it on the story, but like on cast, but I actually like did enjoy and play through all of like the Fighter Z combo challenges. Like I think that's some of the best combo challenges within the genres.
Okay.
You never did the Undernight combo challenges, did you?
No, I need to do. I started some of them. I wasn't feeling them though.
That reminds me, Undernight Inbirth 2 has shown off a lady with big boobs and big guns.
Damn.
All right, this has been Bros in the Landfill. I'm opening Google.
Yeah, and this has been Bros in the Landfill.
Undernight.
I'm gonna go play SEC.
Inbirth 2.
Yeah, you're
Boobs, big guns.
Super Monkey Ball launch!